Today we're taking a look at our Nikon G to Sony E Polar Throttle lens adapter. This is a lens adapter that allows you to adapt a vintage Nikon F mount lens to your mirrorless Sony E mount camera. And this lens adapter has a built-in filter. It's a circular polarizing filter that helps you remove reflections from your scene. And the way you control this CPL filter is actually just rotate this black toothed ring built into the adapter, and this actually adjusts the CPL filtration to remove reflections. Now, why would you want a CPL filter built into a lens adapter? Well, the biggest reason is it's for ease of use. Let's say you're adapting multiple vintage lenses to your mirrorless camera, in this case, Nikon F mount lenses, and you keep swapping them on and off the adapter. If you want a CPL filter, if you want to be using a CPL filter while you're shooting with all these lenses, you'd either have to have different sized CPL filters for every lens or use step-up rings. And then every time you would switch a lens, you'd have to unscrew the filter from one lens and put it on the other. Or you can use our Polar Throttle adapter that has the CPL filter built right in. And I can show you right here as we mount it on the Sony E camera. There it is, it's right there. So you can mount a Nikon lens on the front, remove it, put a different one, and the CPL filter stays built in to the adapter itself. Another nice thing about having the CPL filter in the adapter is when you're swapping lenses, it actually protects the sensor of the Sony E camera. You aren't going to get any dust or grime when you're swapping lenses on location because it's got that filter protecting the sensor. Now, how exactly do lens adapters work? How am I able to mount this Nikon F mount SLR lens to a mirrorless camera like this? And the answer is super simple. It all comes down to focal flange distance. So lenses like this Nikon F mount lens, were designed for an SLR, a shutter lens reflex film camera. And because they needed that mirror that would go up and down so you could see through the lens when you were taking a photo, these lenses were designed to focus to infinity when they're about this far away from the film plane / digital sensor. They need this much space for the lens to focus to infinity. So when we try to adapt them to a mirrorless camera, as you'll see, mirrorless camera has a much shorter distance between where the mirrorless lens goes and the sensor is. So if we were able to put this SLR lens directly on the mount of this mirrorless camera, it would not focus to infinity. It would be completely blurry and out of focus. To get this lens to focus correctly, we need extra space, and that is where our lens adapters come in. The lens adapters give you the required amount of space for vintage lenses to focus correctly, and in the case of this Polar Throttle, they also give you built-in extra functionality like a built-in CPL filter. Here's how to mount a Nikon F mount lens on this Polar Throttle adapter. It's pretty simple. You're just going to line up the mounting dot on the lens with the mounting dot on the adapter, press the lens into the adapter, and rotate it to lock it into place. And then to remove the lens from the adapter, we have this little silver tab here. You're going to press it down so it goes away from the lens. That unlocks the locking pin and allows you to remove the lens. Now, this specific Nikon F mount lens has a built-in aperture control wheel on the lens itself. So I can rotate this control and I can adjust the aperture of the lens manually. But some Nikon F lenses, especially newer ones, will not always have this manual aperture control ring. And that's why with this specific adapter, we actually have a built-in aperture control wheel. So if you're adapting a more modern Nikon F mount lens that doesn't give you manual aperture control, you still actually have manual aperture control. You just rotate this blue ring. And as you can see, you can smoothly adjust the iris. You can smoothly adjust the aperture. And this actually is nice because it is a clickless adjustment. It is a smoother adjustment. So let's say you're shooting video with this lens and you want to do a smooth aperture adjustment. Let's say you're outside, you're stopped down, and then you go into a dark room. You need to open up the aperture. You can smoothly do that with this blue ring. So it's a little extra feature built into this adapter. Not only does it have a built-in CPL filter, it also gives you smooth aperture adjustment of Nikon F mount lenses. Here's how to mount the lens and adapter on a Sony E camera. Super simple, just treat it like a Sony E lens. Red mounting dot, line that up with the mounting dot on the Sony E, and rotate it to lock it into place. There we go, and now we've got this vintage Nikon F mount lens attached to our Sony E mount mirrorless camera, and we've got that built-in circular polarizer control so we can remove reflections from our photos and videos. Let's actually take this lens, camera, and adapter out so I can demo it and show you what you can do with the built-in CPL filter. Okay, that was a quick look at our Nikon F to Sony E Polar Throttle CPL adapter. If you have any questions about this adapter, comment below. I'd love to help you out. Plus, click the link in the description below to get your Polar Throttle adapter today. And we don't just carry the Nikon to Sony Polar Throttle. We have an entire line of Polar Throttle adapters. So if you want to learn more about all the Polar Throttles we offer, as well as our ND throttle adapters that have built-in variable neutral density filters in them, click the links in the description below as well. It'll take you to those pages. Click here to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more videos just like this one. I'm Sean with Fotodiox.com, and thanks for watching.